Hello, I'm delighted to introduce our next honoree, Rose McKinney-James, today's other awardee of the 2019 Sandra Day O'Connor Board Excellence Award. Rose has a distinguished career with a long history in public service and nonprofit volunteerism, as well as corporate governance. As a law student, she interned in Washington, D.C., interning for then Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm. That inspired her to use her law degree in furtherance of public service. Since then, she has served in a number of important government roles, including as Commissioner of the Nevada Public Service Commission. Rose also is a seasoned small business leader. She's the former president and CEO of the Corporation for Solar Technology and Renewable Resources. Today, she's the managing principal of Energy Works LLC and McKinney-James and Associates. She has Lifetime Achievements Awards from a number of organizations, including the Women's Chamber of Commerce, and the U.S. Small Business Administration named her Small Business Advocate of the Year. In both her public and private roles, Rose has been one of the leaders of the energy policy framework in her adopted state of Nevada. She's worked with a diverse group of advocates and had to lead the effort to facilitate passage of the first renewable energy portfolio standard in Nevada, the first of many successful collaborations resulting in clean energy advancement in the state of Nevada. She joined her first board in 1999 and has been bringing her unique legal and advocacy perspective to corporate boards and nonprofit boards since then. Today, she serves on the boards of MGM Resorts International, MGM Detroit, Toyota Financial Services Bank, NACD Pacific Southwest, the Energy Foundation, and Net Impact. Savoy Magazine Power 300 named her one of the most influential African-American corporate directors. She has numerous awards and distinctions, and in all of her free time, she has also raised 2 sons and written a book. And one of her sons actually is here as well today, so hello. She recently co-authored The Energy Within Us, which chronicles the journey of 5 African-American women and their paths to senior positions in the energy industry. I am very, very pleased to present her the Sandra Day O'Connor Board Excellence Award. Please join me in congratulating Rose McKinney-James.
Thank you so much. Okay, before you do that, I'm just going to put it down.
No, you're in the middle.
Okay.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you, Libby, very much. And thank you, Direct Women. And warm congratulations to my fellow honorees. They are an awesome group of talented and dedicated women, men, and organizations. And I'm delighted to be with you this afternoon. And the honor of accepting this award marks an incredibly exciting and humbling milestone in my life and career. And I deeply appreciate the recognition. We don't accomplish anything in this world alone. And whatever happens is a result of the whole tapestry of one's life, and all of the weavings of individual threads form one to another that creates something. Justice Sandra Day O'Connor. Like some of you gather here today, I followed a slightly different path to pursue a long-held desire to seek a career in public service, and my legal training provided an essential foundation to achieving that goal. My story is likely quite different from yours. As you heard in my introduction, I've had the privilege of serving on multiple corporate boards. In addition to MGM Resorts International, where I joined 3 phenomenal women, I served initially on the board of Mandalay Resort Group and Employers Insurance Holdings, where there were 3 women directors. As a former utility regulator, cabinet secretary, and chief executive officer, my journey has not followed the traditional path for most lawyers. Far from it. For the past 18 years, I've owned my own consulting practice, and I've segued from public service to entrepreneur, and along the way, honed my skills in public policy and legislative advocacy. As Libby mentioned, the opportunity to serve on my first board came in 1999. I was not actively seeking a board seat, and the offer came on the heels of a devastating loss in a race to win the office of Lieutenant Governor in my adopted state of Nevada. The call came 2 weeks after the loss, and it came directly from the CEO. And after a very pleasant meeting in his office, he extended the offer to join that board. Note to self, you never know who's watching you. I said yes without hesitation, though I honestly had not a clue as to what lay ahead of me. When I joined the board, I became the second woman, and the second woman trained as a lawyer. I did not have the benefit of any prior formal training or prep for board service. I was required to rely completely on my professional experience to navigate and meld into the boardroom dynamics. However, my legal training allowed me to approach the opportunity with the confidence and the ability to maneuver difficult legal, governance, ethical, and complicated financial issues. And as a director on a board of a company in a highly regulated industry, these skills were essential to my ability to gain the trust and confidence of my fellow board members. Over the course of my board tenure, it's been my honor to chair the Compliance, GovNom, Diversity, and currently I chair the Corporate Social Responsibility Committee for MGM Resorts International. These leadership positions provided me the unique opportunity to become immersed in key aspects of governance. However, the confidence and ability required to tackle these opportunities certainly did not occur overnight. As a little girl growing up in Detroit with my grandparents, I dreamed of a future that would simply make them proud. Thus began a path full of serendipity and fueled by wanderlust. And frankly, while I have had my share of traffic jams and roadblocks, so far, it's been a blast. On reflection, so many of my experience has been made possible by others, those who recognized potential and volunteered to mentor it, and those who encouraged me without judgment to explore that potential beyond the traditional pathways offered to people who look like me. I am extraordinarily grateful for a family that allowed me to dream big and support my efforts to punch through every invisible barrier potentially obstructing my path. And I'm particularly grateful to my great-grandmother, who was, until the day I entered kindergarten, my principal caregiver. I was at her side as she pursued her daily chores. She was an ordained minister in the African Methodist Episcopal Church. She was a fiery orator with the ability to mesmerize her congregation. But she also frequently convened a group of women evangelists who gathered at our home to discuss the political issues of the day. Angela, you would have loved them. And plans to address pressing local issues of hunger and poverty. They were purpose-driven and result-oriented. She was also a huge fan of two early television dramas, Gunsmoke and Perry Mason. And indeed, I secretly thought that growing up, to become the female version of Sheriff Matt Dillon or Perry Mason would be the best possible outcome. But I always knew, in my heart of hearts, that it was actually Miss Kitty and Della Street that really ran the show. I am confident that my great-grandmother is the reason and the provider of my sense of both purpose and justice. Thereafter, it was my grandmother who influenced my choices. She was a trailblazer in her own right, having secured admission to the Detroit College of Law at a time when very few women, much less women of color, had the ability to achieve such a goal. I grew up surrounded by her law books in a library where my granddad read the Detroit Free Press on a daily basis, and he understood and encouraged my pursuit of academic excellence, even though he never secured his high school diploma. I overheard many conversations focused on community advocacy, with my grandmother leading strategy sessions crafted to address early efforts to deny equal housing to those migrating from the oppression of the South, seeking opportunity in the North. It was these early memories that ultimately sustained my desire to pursue a career in public service. And there have been many experiences and people that have influenced my life, but one stands out. It's already been mentioned, and it was a pivotal point in my advancement. And prior to graduating from law school in 1976, I had the honor during my second year of interning in the office of Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm. That internship coincided with the celebration of the first UN-established International Year of the Woman. Mrs. Chisholm seized that historic year to immerse me in the lessons that women leaders from around the world offered as they contributed to the UN celebrations. She, along with her talented team of amazing women, exposed me to a wide range of issues and policy frames. And rather than limit me to entry-level duties, I was allowed to tackle incredibly substantive and complex issues and to actively explore the legal nexus to solving critical problems. My first-year law class was, by design, one of the most diverse of any first-year classes in the country in that year, with approximately half of the class being comprised of women and students of color. And I've learned firsthand the power of diversity as a means of advancing social and political change. And while it was experimental, it was also intentional, and it was achieved more than 4 decades ago. It's hard to believe that we continue to face so many of the same challenges that existed then, but we have made progress, significant progress. Denise pointed out some important statistical updates in her opening remarks. Women now represent approximately 27.7% of corporate directors across the board, and we're challenged to consider boardroom diversity as a strategic imperative. I admire and I appreciate the work of Direct Women. I'm so impressed with the Institute and your efforts to identify, prepare, engage, and promote qualified women lawyers to corporate board seats. Your work is essential, intentional, and result-oriented. I believe that those of us who have the privilege of a seat at the table owe it to the future generations to encourage and to fight for the inclusion of more of us going forward. We should leverage and expand these networks with the dedication of organized efforts like those championed by Direct Women, and the progress we enjoy can actually move toward parity. I love that quote that I shared with you from Justice O'Connor because I know that absolutely nothing is accomplished alone. I owe my many opportunities to those who've generously shared their threads that have been weaved into the fabric of my life. Those threads have been a reliable companion on my more than 4-decade journey. Entering the boardroom is a transforming experience, and as you leave your singular focus behind, you become transfixed on a collective purpose. Your perspectives are valued. I'm grateful to my family, represented here today by my wonderful and talented New York City-based cousin, Ann Louise Wallace, and my youngest son, the remarkable Avery Robert James. I appreciate your patience and your support, and everyone should be lucky enough to benefit from that. To my talented and gracious CEO who offered the opportunity for this platinum sponsorship, I want to thank him for supporting Direct Women and allowing my fabulous colleagues to join today. I have colleagues here from MGM Resorts and also from Toyota. Hello, where are you? To those of you seeking your first board seat, know that the winds are truly at your back and the world is quickly changing, and that there is increasingly an appreciation and support for diversity in corporate decision-making. I am honored, grateful, and totally jazzed to be with you. Thank you so much.